we'll call the meeting to order at 7 and stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thought of it wearing shorts and shorts and shirt.
You should have.
I know.
All right, amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments needed?
I do have one.
Okay.
We need to appoint the town manager as the administrator of the NEMRIC system and allow him access to the modules.
Under new business?
New business, yeah. The accountant retiring, we need somebody that has access and can give access to others.
Okay. Anything else needed? Is there a motion to amend the agenda?
I'll make a motion to appoint the town manager
No,
as the.
just the amending of the agenda.
Whoop.
To add that to 8.
I'll make a motion to add to the agenda, under new business E, appointment of the town manager as administrator for the NIMRIC system. Was there another portion?
No, that's just me talking.
Second? Second. Okay, all in favor of the agenda as amended?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, motion carries. Approval of the minutes from March 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jay, seconded by Glenn to approve the minutes for March 22nd. Any changes needed?
Everything, I thought it looked pretty good. And so
Yeah, it's just that Swamp Road is,
Samp Road was Swamp Road.
Samp Road is
Yeah.
Swamp.
Swamp Road, it was close, it was close enough.
that's my,
Out of 5 pages or however many pages.
was a lot of
that's
minutes.
the
There was a
worst
lot
you
of
got, that's not bad. 13 pages. Ooh.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, motion carries with just the update of the road name. Okay, 5 minutes for public comment. Anybody for public comment? No, okay. Department head reports. I believe, police department handed out a report in our package. Joe, is there any highlights or anything you wanna go over on that? Or questions for,
Yes, so 6 arrests so far, in the last couple weeks. Typical stuff, driving without a license, domestic assault, again, driving without a license. 53 traffic, violations and 26 written warnings, so that's up a little bit. Usually it's the other way around, usually we have more warnings. No, chief won't like for me to say, but it's been quiet. It's been quiet.
Oh, wait,
Thank you, it's been steady.
okay? Bill, anything you wanna add? We just kinda reviewed your report.
Sorry I'm late.
That's fine.
Faster than I thought.
Not a problem. Questions for police department?
don't know why the power's out on South Side, do you?
I don't.
Okay.
Oh, no.
That just go out now.
I guess so, sometimes it's on Pleasant Street, Academy Street, that area over there.
Get hell from that.
Okay, DPW? Joe?
Alright, DPW. Guys have been busy the last couple weeks. Sidewalk cleanup's continuing. Street sweeping has started, and then they're prepping that winter equipment to put it away for the summer. They've been picking away at spots they've seen on the sidewalk. If anybody sees some spots on the sidewalk that need to be cleaned up, get that dirt out of there, please let us know. Because they're doing their best they can with that. Couple culverts need to be replaced in the next weeks. We're replacing one culvert. We're repairing a culvert and replacing 2 culverts. One of those culverts has been a particularly tough one up on Green Road. We've been trying to get at that for a couple years now. So that one's on the docket. If the weather continues to improve, They're gonna be out there with the grader, so get ready for spring grading. Paving schedule, Swamp Road is on the schedule for June. Roadside mowing, that rental is scheduled for August, so we're getting that, getting all that straightened up and ready to go. They are getting ready, they will start, doing, crosswalk painting, so we can look for that too. Also in terms for paving, we're getting numbers for Furnace and Union Street. Those two were on our, schedule for this year, next year, the coming year's budget. And I did talk to V-Trans. There are only a few, they have 9 applications for Class 2 paving, so we're hoping that this is our year for Scotch Hill. So that's what we're planning for at this point, is Scotch Hill, the big work. Water department, they're still clearing around the Inman Pond. They're doing their annual brush work. They're pressure washing the exterior of the north tank, and they are finding a few cracks in that tank, and they're not bad. It's not imminent danger, but that tank's going to need a recoating, and we're going to have to do something with the cracks. So the water department, when we look at their budget, Mike will come in and he'll talk about what that's going to look like. And they're continuing training when that's available. We have our intern down there, and he's taking all the classes that he can possibly find, which is great.
One question about paving. We've got all last year's money in here for paving, correct?
Yep.
Are the projects that were scheduled for last year gonna be done with that money first? Or what are we doing? Or are we adding everything together and trying to get one shot?
No, so swamp, you know what, let me get out my list. Swamp, Union, and Furnace were all on, should have been used, that's what this money is for that we're in now.
Last year's.
The money we're working with.
Okay.
Yeah, last summer's money. So those, we're using this money for those projects, so we're on schedule with that. July 1 money, we're expecting to see the grant, so July 1 money will be held. Grant will come in, next year's July money will come in, we'll be able to repave Scotch Hill and do it right.
Not
So-
what I'm asking.
So we're not gonna be doing Fourth Street again this year?
I actually have that on my list.
Well, because we had more streets, there was more streets than that was set up to be paving last year. So you're telling me these 3 streets are gonna take all the money that was put aside that wasn't used last year? There was no paving done at all last year.
Only patching,
Yeah, but we didn't use 175,000 for patching.
no. But we're prepping for, so what it is, we're prepping for Scotch Hill. That's gonna be, if we wanted to do it the way we wanted to do it, it would be closer to 700,000.
Are they gonna do Forestry?
That's on my list of questions.
Well, the thing of it is, well, I'm going right back to the same thing with Scotch Hill. You got a couple spots, you could piecework Scotch Hill. People are trying to drive down 4th Street every day, and that's a mess. And it's getting worse. And, you know, there's some other streets right here that should have been, that's gotta be taken care of. But that's probably the worst one we got right now. And as far as even Swamp Road, I think Swamp Road, all you have to do is do that one section. And that's it. I mean, there's no sense in doing that whole road over again. I mean, you're throwing, unless you start doing something different with shoulders and everything else, we're just throwing money away.
That brings it, that's to my point exactly. Some of these roads, we're talking about paving them, they're now nowhere.
Fairhaven, can you unmute yourself?
Eric, can you hear us now?
Doesn't sound it.
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Oh, sorry.
You got roads on there to pave, they're not ready to pave, there's a lot of work that should be done on them first. We gotta get the water off the road. Cause if you pave them the way they are, in a couple of years or even a year, they're still gonna be broke up again. If you don't get that water off the road to start with, you're not gonna have a good road. Scotch Hill also, Fourth Street, real bad. And everything goes right back to lack of drainage and lack of ditching and lack of shoulder cutting. And if we don't get that taken care of ahead of time, before you pave, it never gets done.
That's all I got.
questions? I think Rod had it. Rod, you had a,
So related to paving.
Yep.
The joint between the road and a driveway, who's responsible for filling in those potholes?
If it's,
Generally speaking.
so if it's in the road,
Now, this is
well,
at the joint, this is right at the edge of the road where the
yep, now I know what you're talking about. So if it's, the way we're doing it is if you can hit it while you're driving in the road, even if you're up tight to the curb, the town will take care of that. If I have to drive over the curb to hit the hole, that's the responsibility of the homeowner.
well, these are businesses.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's around town, there's businesses that, I
Three of
mean,
them.
the potholes are big enough to swallow
Mm.
on a smaller car, holy cow, I wouldn't want to hit.
Yeah, you got someone up at Shaw's, you got some at Dollar General,
Truck stop is one.
truck stop, you know,
stop.
it's,
Big
there's,
one.
yeah.
I'm just asking a question, whether someone's gotta say something to the establishment.
I know that the Shaw's one has traditionally been
It's
there.
worse, it's worse this year
Yeah.
than most years.
But it's traditionally been the owner
Been
of the
seeing
property that has to have taken care of that.
Yeah.
Not very well.
Now, I see the Dollar General ones were kind of roughly taken care of,
Yeah.
but I didn't know who did it and who's responsible.
It's my understanding, we're responsible to the curb.
Mm.
To the curb?
If it's, so Dollar General is an interesting situation because it's almost like the driveway is the sidewalk. So we'll patch up a little further into there, but, for homeowners, if,
Yeah, but like I said, our responsibility is to the curb, not beyond the curb.
oh, yeah, yes,
Or to the edge of the road, whichever comes first.
sure.
So are they gonna take care of some at Dollar General?
They did toss some cold patch in it. Did it break back up?
I don't know, I haven't
It
aware.
is
Been over
breaking,
there.
it's not as bad as it was, but it is breaking up.
It needs to be checked
I mean,
again.
I'm sure they have rudimentary
Mm.
Joe, can we put an agenda item on one of the next meetings with Aaron to come in and kind of, instead of doing it just in a report, actually do a agenda item for paving? So Jay can ask the questions, Rich can ask, and we can get some
I just,
clarity on what.
I just wanna see the clarity, and the thing, what I'm looking at also is that if we get them in here paving, it'd be nice to be able to do all of our paving at the same time to save money. Because we won't have to pay to move them back in here again. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's, even if they will come in and do the paving and accept their July money after July 1, and come in and get all the paving done early, I mean, if we can get people in, if we can get the group in here between May and June, before they start all their state projects, we're gonna get a better job because they're gonna be more focused on what they're doing. Because once they start state jobs, they're going from place to place to place. And when they get here, it's usually on a Saturday or something, where they come in and out. So I would just like to see a good schedule on trying to get everything done at the same time.
We'll bring Aaron in.
Other questions for DPW? Okay. And moving on to town manager report.
Oh, town manager report. Let's see, where are we at? We still have the accountant position. We're interviewing for that. We did have 3 candidates. 1 candidate did drop out, so we have two interviews this week, 1 tomorrow and 1 Thursday. Both relatively, they're good candidates. Still working on the bridge grant for Adams Street. Working on that grant. We're also looking at some earmark funding for town hall. The senators and congressmen, they get so much money they can allocate towards a project in their area. This is the third time we'll be asking, so maybe we'll get something this time.
You talking to the congressman?
Oh yeah, Mr. Welch, I didn't talk to him, his office sent information. Yeah, Mr. Welch.
Talk to you afterwards.
RFP for the salt shed has been released. That was released on, what's today, yesterday. Town hall project still moving forward. The foundation for the, let's see what they call it, the pit for the elevator has been poured. And that's downstairs drying right now. Pump station project, that is pretty much buttoned up this week. They do have to put in the control panel yet. The generator's in, the fuel is in, so it's been a year on, but that's coming to an end finally. Playground replacement, you got a hard date of April 18th for the new playground equipment to be on site. So that's still, they bumped me out about a month, but they've been pretty firm with April 18th, so that will also be done finally.
Can I just talk about the playground real quick? I got 2 complaints today about garbage at the playground. Today, I mean, separate of each other. I went down this afternoon. It doesn't look horrible. It almost looks like somebody has been down there picking up, but there's still a bunch of stuff around.
Garbage blowing around?
Yeah, you know, and it's stuff that I wouldn't, you know, some of the people say, well, I picked it up, but I didn't dare, you know, so.
Okay.
And there's a couple barrels that are blown over and around. There's no garbage around them, but it's just, it could use a lick and a promise.
So should we talked about ARPA reporting, that is due this month. So it's, again, this last couple weeks has just been nothing but paperwork. But it's part of the job. So that's what I got for you.
Questions for town manager? No?
Yeah, I guess I was gonna ask this, but you mentioned ARPA. Are you aware of a second round of ARPA money?
More money?
Yeah. Would you just do some research on that? I had one where people asked that question, and I had no idea that there was, but I'm pretty convinced that
There's infrastructure money coming somewhere.
There's infrastructure, but the ARPA specifically.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I hadn't heard that, but I said I would ask.
Anything else? Okay, thanks, Will. Old business, we had tabled the town clerk MOU discussion to the next meeting, which is now. So Danny's here. I don't know how we wanna, do you wanna open, Danny?
I would like to say something.
Sure, go ahead.
I would like to get to the end of it before I answer any questions or have
Yep.
any comments. I was here, as you know, this is my third go-round. I initially wanted to discuss my MOU in a public meeting. I foolishly assumed that it would be pretty cut and dry and close to what Suzanne had. What I was given was insulting. It tacked on responsibilities that belong to a person who is employed by the town and not elected by its residents. My job description is mandated by the state. Although I was given medical and eye insurance and retirement, it was spelled out explicitly that I was to receive no paid time off, no federal holidays, no vacation, no sick time. When I asked Joe why he had treated me like this, he grinned and said, "Because you're elected and I can." No one's value should be based on because I can. I spoke to Chris Cole in private on May 8th and told him that this MOU was not legal. As the state statutes dictate, paid sick time and I thought it best to meet in executive session at the next meeting. I attended the meeting on March 22nd, thinking we would go into executive session, but that didn't happen. And I was not mentally prepared to discuss the situation in public. Now I am. I now know what I'm about to say needs to be made public. I had wanted to talk to the board alone, but your wish is my command, you want it in public. So in the words of Margot Channing, buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy night. I have no doubt that this MOU is a result of my refusal to commit fraud in order to save Joe after he realized that there was no treasurer, he had not attempted to recruit anyone to run, and his time had run out. The Wednesday before the election, Joe flew into the clerk's office and asked what was going to happen without a treasurer. Suzanne told him that she had been telling him to work on it for some time, and he hadn't. He then turned to me and repeatedly told me that I needed to step up. Suzanne and I both tried to tell him that after the town meeting, neither of us had any authority as treasurer or assistant treasurer. Joe did not back down and finally said he had called the state and that I could sign checks. I did at this point agree to sign, but only once and under protest. That night, I had a chance to think and realize that what Joe had told me was wrong. On Thursday morning, I contacted the state and received an email confirming my belief. I sent this on to Joe and was not pleased when he thanked me for double checking and telling me that VLCT's guidance was vague. Why wouldn't he have told me he wanted to double check his information? I felt like I had dodged a bus. The day after town meeting, I was working on less than 4 hours of sleep when again Joe came flying into my office. He handed me a letter telling me the bank needed me to sign it. It was a letter giving him signing authority on the checking account. I told him that we had been down this road. I did not have the authority after town meeting and was not signing it. He refused to take no for an answer. I read the letter, pointed out to Joe that he had spelled my name incorrectly and he should rethink Fairhaven, which he had capitalized incorrectly. When he went off to make the corrections, I grabbed the phone and called the state. I was able to talk to Lori at the Secretary of State's office. I explained to her that I was not going to sign the letter, but I had to tell Joe something. I could hear her talking to her colleagues, and by the time she returned to the phone, Joe was back. She said she didn't know what to tell me, other than that the board needed to appoint a treasurer. I repeated this to Joe, and he started in again, telling me that the bank needed it and that I didn't understand banking. I worked in banking for 9 years. My understanding of banking is quite adequate. In desperation, I told him that if he got something in writing from the state, I would sign it. He tore the letter to pieces and said, "The state told me no." I was so stunned that I was speechless. Friday, March 4th, I was not working. I had allowed the vault to be open so the zoning administrator could do some research. A man whose identity is still unknown asked to conduct a search. In spite of the fact that there's a sign on the front door that said search by appointment only, and in spite of the fact that I was not in the office, Joe gave him access to my vault. I take full responsibility for leaving the vault open. And that will never happen again. When I asked Joe who this man was, he said he didn't know. I pointed out the man had not signed in and that no one knew what he had done. Joe very well knows not to let anyone into that office without the clerk present. Again, a grin appeared on his face, and I'm pretty sure he said, "My bad." This is plain and simple harassment. This is a hostile work environment, and this is against your town policy. Fairhaven, Town of Fairhaven Progressive Discipline Policy, page 2. Employees are prohibited from engaging in conduct listed below and may receive discipline up to and including termination for doing so. Conducting oneself in a manner which is offensive, abusive, or contrary to common decency and morality, carrying on any form of harassment, I expect that the select board will take action against the town manager. Now, I am a duly elected clerk. I expect to be treated with respect my office and my experience command. I expect compensation equal to my experience. I expect full benefits, paid vacations, days off, federal holidays, and I expect a vacation equal to a person who has worked for this town for 12 years. I have worked in this town for 18 years. And I expect a raise every year. I would like town policy to officially include how all elected officials are compensated, so this will never happen again. Thank you very much. Appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you, Danny.
And just so you know that I do not come without being prepared, here are the emails back and forth from the state.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Joe, do you want those?
I do, thank you.
The board, I mean, we had the MOU 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. We'll come to the board meeting. There's another one in our packet today, an MOU. Is an MOU even necessary?
Very
I don't-
very few towns have them, honestly. That's what I found. What you're gonna find in that packet towards the end is that, there are two things, and behind me are town clerks.
Okay.
And I think there are, if there's people on Zoom, I believe that there are other town clerks on Zoom. There is what I have done, which is, I took a survey of town clerks, and this was just my down and dirty, I sent these out of the towns that, responded. All town clerks received, holidays, vacation, all of them have insurance. I mean, we have assistants that are making $20 an hour. There's no way I'm gonna be able to hire an assistant for what I am making now. The one that's 2 pages, and this is from the state, that's in there too. This is, the state puts this out every year. Fairhaven does not ever fill this in. I don't know why. This is a survey of all, listers have it, town clerks, but for some reason Fairhaven does not participate. I really think they should. It would be very helpful. I don't care about a memorandum. Most towns, a lot of towns have, policies.
Yeah.
That just say, we're treating them like, anyone who works for the union, and that's what they get. But I'm telling you,
But you're not in
You don't, you
no,
work for you.
but they follow the union guidelines.
We don't have to.
No, you don't have to. You do, absolutely, Jay. You
But,
do
you know,
not have to.
but,
But
okay,
is that a fair thing to do? It's what I'm looking for,
Well-
fair and equitable.
I understand. First of all, I know, which I wasn't on the board, but there was $37,000 put in for town clerk this year. Because of the fact that, you know, nobody starts out at the top.
Well, that's below the bottom,
Well,
but that's what it
okay,
is.
okay, but that's what the town people voted in. That's nothing to do with what we're
Okay,
talking
Can
about.
I ask one question? Joe said that he had done research, and that $17 was the going rate. So did you folks ask to see, I know you two were on the board, did you ask to see that research? Because Joe should have it.
Well, and just to touch on a few other things, what been sent to me, that there is no federal requirement for paid time, for paying time off for any employees with elected positions. And that's through the Fair Labor Standards Act. So, and then it also says down here that, let's see. You can work either for the fees, or you can work for what you've been offered, you know, what the town has offered. There's nothing everything I've read, it says nothing about holidays. It says nothing about sick time. It says nothing about,
Oh, sick time is a state mandate. Sick time is a state mandate.
well, sick time, okay, but it says there's no requirement that you have to provide health insurance to elected official. Town clerk, elected town clerks is what it says in this paper. And my feeling is, your statement was that any elected official should be receiving this. We get 13 cents an hour for our job.
You're not here 40 hours a week.
But we're elected officials, just the way you are. And if you want elected officials to get health insurance, all these other stuff, then I feel that the board should get the same thing, because we are elected officials. And to me, I'm trying to look at all the rules in the state of Vermont, and what I've been handed. You must have seen the budget before you ran for the office, so you must have seen that it was $37,000, correct?
I did.
Well, I mean, that's the money that people voted in. I mean, we can't pull money out of a hat. So, that's my feeling. I feel, I would support the fact if you wanted to go back and do fees as your payment, as your salary. Fine, that's what they used to do here. It's up to you. I mean, I'm just saying that this is
Jay,
what we're working
You
with.
also provided a salary along with the fees.
Okay, and I believe it was what, 12?
Not originally.
No, originally, the first year that I was in, I was paid $3,000 plus fees. And I did that from March to July, and then July to the following July. And then slowly, we were able to increase that salary.
Well, that's my problem is that it continues to increase. It's an elected official job, it should be a flat rate, and that's what it should be. And I don't,
The state doesn't put more on the clerks every year?
I guess I don't know, to be honest with you.
You should ask that. You should know that.
But that doesn't, I don't get why that means you should continually get, you know, when I supported going to a salary when Tom Lepaka was the one that suggested it that many years ago. But it just continued to go and go and go, and all of a sudden we're looking at one of the highest paid positions in the town. And if you remember correctly, the last time I was on the board, I said that this job is not gonna pay that money again. And I was off the board when they set this particular budget, but I support it. I don't think that it's I mean, you run for the job for what it pays. And if the townspeople decide to pay X amount of dollars, fine, that's what we pay. And I just don't think we should continually keep going higher and higher and higher. I mean, I just don't. It's not, it's an elected job.
So a clerk wouldn't need to get a cost of living because, of course, she doesn't eat, does she?
Did you talk to Dan about this? Did you talk about the conversation we had? I mean, I just don't, it's kind of like, I'm surprised you're surprised or something, I guess. I guess that's my.
Who are you talking to, me?
You, yeah.
Oh, I'm certainly not surprised by you, Bob, no, not at all.
That's not what I said, and that is low, and you don't need to say that. Say answer the question I asked. You don't have to get out.
Paid $37,000. Yes, I also knew that I was the one in this town who had enough experience to walk into that job and not make a mess of it. Not that I probably haven't, but I came in here, I worked from 6:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock at night, and for the first week, I never even ate. I have 4 elections, no, you asked a question, I'm gonna answer it. I have 4 elections this year. Now, a fee does not bring in money to run 4 elections, does it? A fee doesn't bring in, people come in and get things I don't get paid for. There are things that go on there that I don't get paid for. My gosh, just taking care of the, election stuff. It must take me a half an hour every day, at least. I have sent out, absentee ballots. I have gotten requests in. People are coming in to fill out, to do their ballots. That is a service to the town. I don't charge them $1 every time they come in here to fill out a ballot. The poll tax is gone. I don't get that. So there are services that I do for this town that don't generate any money for me at all for this town. But there are things you have to have. You have to have an election. I can't very well say, I'm sorry, I'm not getting any money for the election, I'm not gonna run it. There's 4 of them. And they're 12-hour days, 13-hour days. Oh my gosh, Suzanne, 15-hour days.
Isn't
I get
that the
that.
job of a town clerk? Isn't that, everything that you just said,
Absolutely.
everything you just said, that is a job of a town clerk?
But things have
Well, wait a
changed
minute,
in the
wait,
last
no, let
year.
me talk. Everything you said is a job that a town clerk is supposed to be performing. All I'm saying is, I know what this board, previous board put in here for a salary. The taxpayers voted it in. You knew what it was before you took the job.
I'm not talking about that right now.
Well,
I'm
that's,
talking about.
the whole thing is here, is that you don't feel that you're being treated fairly.
So you don't think I should get a paid holiday?
You're a salaried employee, aren't you?
No, that's, are you reading the,
It
did
says-
you read it?
It can be either, I believe you could be either way.
Did you read the memorandums you were given?
Yeah, and I don't agree with the memorandum, so that's beside the
Well,
point.
but that's what that was given, $17 an hour, that's it, and no paid
And
holidays.
there was another one, there must have
And
been
the
another
second
one.
one, which I was told you wrote,
There was another one somewhere.
so that's what I don't get. The one you wrote is worse than the first
That
one.
who wrote?
That you agreed on,
I-
that was.
We
voted
haven't
on
agreed to
budget.
any memorandum that I know.
Really? Because that's what it says.
The second memorandum was the one with just the top paragraph that was,
That says, I provided you with the edited memorandum of understanding that the board discussed and approved on Thursday. I don't know when you met on Thursday. I did ask Joe for a copy of the agenda and the minutes for the Thursday meeting, but I didn't get any.
Because I know, I haven't been to a Thursday meeting.
Well,
Me neither.
it says that it was discussed and approved, so.
Couldn't have been on a Thursday meeting, because I was.
I think,
this is a typo, it was Tuesday.
I think it was Tuesday.
It was
And you
Tuesday.
discussed and approved it, so that's what I'm questioning.
We approved to offer it to you.
To
Right.
offer, and what does this one say? $17 an hour for 3 years. So for 3 years, I don't get an increase. And so that's hourly, so I get no benefits. Suzanne got benefits. Suzanne, you there? She got benefits. I mean, I think if you're gonna look at it, I ran for the office, I knew what it paid, but I also looked at her, I knew what she got. I knew she had vacation, I knew she had paid days off, I knew she had insurance.
Suzanne had a good package.
Not compared to a lot of town clerks, honestly. I mean, I talked to one town clerk, actually 2, that got 2 raises last year. 2. So, you know, this way of thinking about town clerks has really kind of gone with the way of the weighers of coal and the viewer of fences. It's a different job than it was, even when Suzanne started. It used to be people came in and they wrote longhand in a book and they went home. They were farmers. They did other things. This job is not now, a once a week or a half a day job. And certainly, yes, now that there are things that I can go to Burlington and get my birth certificate. But on the other hand, someone from Burlington can come here and get their birth certificate. And that's where we make some money. We, you know, and that's where your income comes from, is from people coming in to get those things. But I provide a good service, and I have 12 years' experience, and that is huge in this, absolutely huge in this. I really would have spent the last month literally in tears every day had I not had Suzanne, who is, I'm gonna tell you, the best town clerk that this town has ever seen and probably ever will see. But she was a huge, wonderful mentor, and without her, I'd be totally lost. And these women behind me, and whoever's on Zoom, who have been so supportive, and who I've called 1,000 times and said, I don't know where to go from here. I'm not asking for the world, I'm asking to be treated fairly, and I am asking that I should not come into this office and feel like I'm being harassed.
That you shouldn't be.
I should not be.
That's right.
I am
That's very
61
true.
years old, and I should not go home and take sleeping pills because I cannot sleep, because I am afraid of the bus coming at me again.
So where I see the vacation time, the days off, is you're an elected official. There's $37,000 for your salary. If you wanna take the day off, take the day off. You
I'm
work,
fine with that.
you work for the voters of Fairhaven, you don't work for the select board.
Exactly, thank you.
If
That's
you
it.
want a week vacation, you take a week's vacation. If the voters don't like that, they won't vote for you next time.
Then what can we put that in, that it's not salary, it's per? Huh?
It is
Is that
salary.
what he's got it, they've got it in there as an hourly position?
Like, I mean, to Jay's point with us, we know it's $700 every year. I mean, we might miss meetings, we might not, you know, Jay might have work, I might have work, you know, we don't make all of our meetings, but
I don't have a problem with just saying it's a X amount of dollars, call it salary, call it what you want, it doesn't have to be hourly. I think the hourly was just to see where it broke out. But call it what you want, I mean, it's, you're employed by the town of Fairhaven, but not by,
No,
not through this.
I'm hired, and may I just say, and I want to say publicly, how many people have come in and thanked me? How many people have come in and welcomed me? There's a letter that I handed out to you that was brought in by Chris Howe today, thanking me for my service, and to you, to back me up and how much he appreciates me being here. I've gotten calls at home, I've gotten calls here, I got a card from somebody yesterday thanking me for taking the job. You know, people know me. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in this town all my life. My family's been here for close to 180 years. There are deep roots. And when I walk into that office every day, I feel the weight of 243 years of records on my shoulders. And that's huge. And when I have somebody just letting people in there, that's unacceptable.
That won't happen again.
Thank you.
There's,
If the town clerk is not in the office, or the assistant clerk is not in the office, the safe is to be closed.
Well, in point two there, we need a place to put money, because Suzanne was the treasurer and she was the clerk.
just.
That stuff went in the vault.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That needs to move. That
Broken
needs
up
a
now.
safe place.
So we
That should
almost-
not be in there.
We almost have to look at a smaller safe be hooked down somewhere else.
Somewhere.
Just so that you can put the
The
daily
cash in there.
cash
Yeah,
that's coming
Yeah.
in through the daytime.
yeah.
that can be
No
put in
one
there.
should be able to
Because-
go in and out.
You can't make a bank deposit every day.
No.
That's almost impossible.
so there
Glenn,
were,
I know you had-
well, it was just a lot of things here that
Mhm.
require, I wouldn't even try to answer without, there needs to be some
Exactly.
investigating done.
Yeah.
But the the question I have for you is, like, cause you've been in the role and the pay thing, cause we all need our paycheck. What are you getting paid now?
I am getting paid $14.65 an hour.
Why
At the
is,
moment, what is in Suzanne's budget, which was left, was like $13,000. I can take, that's my money. Literally, that's my money. It was Suzanne's, and now it's mine. Because if Suzanne had dropped dead on election day, thank God you didn't.
She's still
She
going.
hasn't changed her, foolish Suzanne has not changed her phone number or her email, and I call her constantly. She should be getting a stipend for the times that I am on the phone to her. But that is my money. And
So that was
I
after
should-
the March election to
Yes,
the end of
yeah,
June.
that's my money. I should be getting that. And honestly, that should be split up until June. And that should be mine, and that, in my view, would help defray some of what I'm missing. This $17 an hour, not this year, but next year, has to be looked at. I'm not gonna be able to find an assistant either while we're talking about it, just to put this in your head. My budgets for my assistant was cut because I can. Which is foolishness. I now have to train somebody, and I have no money to train them with. No money. And I'm not gonna be able to hire her for the $14.65 an hour that I'm making. I can't. So that means my hours are gonna be less.
I don't understand something. She was elected in March. There's money in the budget for the town clerk for the year. Suzanne got paid until the 1st of March.
It should be mine.
All that money should be there. Why isn't she getting that portion of the money? Why is she getting $14 an hour and not getting what's left in the budget for the year?
That's a good question.
I assumed that when you took over whatever money was left in the budget of the town clerk, that's what your salary was until the end of the year.
I was
And
told
then-
until we came up with something, I
and
was
then
getting paid my
The new,
$14.
as of July 1, the $37,000
Would
kicked
go in
in.
effect, yeah.
So without knowing what the board was gonna do or set or what was agreed upon, we kept the rate where it was at. After the board and the clerk, after something is agreed upon, there can be retro pay to compensate for what was
Well,
worked
I
previous.
just feel that money is there, so that should have been the town clerk's money until June, or till June 30th.
July, yes, thank you, yeah,
And June.
June
absolutely.
30th.
And then, as of July 1, you start with the 37,000 and go from there.
So you would prorate March, what was it, 3rd or whatever,
March
forward?
1st,
It was actually on March 1st.
Suzanne could not work on March 1st. I ran that election by myself.
So,
Well, with the help of everyone who was there, but
so
I
you
was
start
in
March 1st, March, April, May, June. However do you wanna do it, take the money that's left and divide it up so she gets a portion of money for those 4 months.
And I really would like benefits, just like Suzanne had. I walked in here thinking I was going to be treated the same, and the same, as you can tell, every other town clerk is treated, and I don't think that's asking too much. And that's what the first one said. The first one I was handed, had those in, had my benefits in there.
The
But
one
it
that's,
also-
the one that says draft over the top of it.
Yeah, well, both of them, I think, said draft, but the first one was
Yeah.
longer. And that was more of what Suzanne had, but that also had in-town duties.
That's the first one.
And I'll tell you right now, I am more than happy to take a tax payment, I am more than happy to take a water payment if things get busy. I said to Arlene this afternoon, because she was just for Arlene, I said, send them in to me. I'll take the payments, I have no problem. I just can't have it dictated to me, because there are times around elections especially, dog licenses, one day last week, between DMVs and dog licenses and people coming in to vote, I didn't have anything to eat, I didn't have anything to drink, I had nothing. I was busy all day. And that's not my job anyway. But yes, if it's Zooey, but I've done that for 12 years. At one point, when Bev was out sick for an extended period of time, that's what I did. Herb hired me to go in, and I worked half days, taking water and sewer payment and doing that. I've done that. Except for I think, select board, I've done every job in this office. I'm a lister still, I've done the accounts receivable, I've been the assistant town clerk, I'm the town clerk. I've got more experience here than a lot of people. Yeah, and I know this year I'm not gonna be compensated for it this coming year, but, you know, I'm asking in the back of your head to consider that 12 years is a lot of time.
I think we may have settled the salary portion. I don't know if there's consensus on that. I mean, it sounds like that was what was budgeted. That's what it is, and
We spent that, we've got it, yeah.
it's up to Danny to figure out what her hours are, her time off. That's,
That's the only thing I'd like to see. I would like to see, if you wanna work 5 hours a day, or if you wanna work certain days a week, just make a schedule.
That's what I plan to do,
And
I
that's all you have to
worked-
do is just make your schedule, post it so the people outside that are coming in know, even though they don't read what's on the post.
No, they don't.
And, but still, I mean, that would give, again, that would give the other people in the office that know we are here, and it just make things so much easier.
I had worked 4 10-hour days until this came up, and then I just basically said, I'm gonna live my life until we get this straightened out.
What would be a fair days of hours to work, in your opinion, mind?
You know, when I'm gonna be completely honest, when I came in December and talked to you folks, I said, I don't think it needs 40 hours a week. You know, famous last words. Certainly, I think for me, now, at least for a year or two, it does. It's, yeah, Jenny here's shaking her head, she knows my, she knows the stuff that we go through. There's a lot to do. And there's recordings, one day I was here last Thursday, I worked 12 and a half hours because our deadline for, the state's deadline for, looking at properties is April 1st. I had to get all the recordings done. I've had nothing but issues with trying to get things changed over from Suzanne's name to my name, the workstation, like Suzanne's face, not my face, so it's always breaking down on me. But I worked 12 and a half hours on Thursday to make sure everything was caught up. I had worked, I say, 4 10-hour days. I take Fridays off. I volunteer at the library every Friday, have for 25 years, playing tooth for another 25 years. That's my happy place. We have a good time. It's a great place to be.
See, I don't have a problem with you working 4 days a week.
But I would, again, I would really like to get this benefits thing taken care of. I don't think it's too much to ask to get what Suzanne had. It certainly was not put forward that I was gonna get anything less.
Was it budgeted?
Was benefits budgeted for the town clerk?
I don't believe so, no.
You guys know?
I find that hard to believe.
You guys know?
All I know was the
Well, they're
30,
in the first memorandum
all
of
I know is-
understanding.
30.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so I would say they probably were.
But it was, my understanding is too, that it's not out of the ordinary for the town clerk to have a salary, but the town clerk is an elected official that gets to set their own hours. Also, they get to hire an assistant,
I have to, state mandates.
so that you make, and that just makes perfect sense to
Yes.
have backup
Yes, yeah,
to
absolutely.
do that. It also, I thought I read a document that said most towns provide benefits. And
I think if you look down
I
through that,
read-
every town does.
Provide, it
Or
would be,
benefits, or I think I did find a couple that didn't have benefits, but they were offered, but their partner, their spouse, whatever.
have better
got-
benefits to their
Yeah,
spouse.
but if
or
you
whatever.
looked down at what I had done, and that I answered, what I gave you in that first printout that I did,
the one she handed to you.
I
Oh, it's
included
in that
everything that I knew. I don't care if it was good, bad, or indifferent, it's like an Excel spreadsheet.
Mhm.
That was from what I just sent out to town clerks. Some gave me their salaries, some didn't, some gave me what their assistants made also, some gave me how long they've been in office. And anything good, bad, or indifferent went in there. The one that it's the black and white, one line is black, one line is white, that came from the state. That tells you what everyone gets, and I don't think there's anyone that doesn't, any town that doesn't offer benefits.
Okay, and those, because when you start talking hourly rates, I'm going, well, wait a minute, depends on, it would be a different rate if you work 30 hours versus 45 hours. So-
Right, exactly.
So I don't know, when you start talking an overall amount, it's a little more difficult.
My theory, my thinking is, it's the 37,000, that's what the salary is. So we divide it up among 52 weeks, or how many times we get paid. That's what she gets, and she works her 4-day week. And her check comes every week, the same, or every 2 weeks. That way, and
That's when I did the math, it came to
I
a
mean,
little over $17 an hour, I think.
Yeah.
well, don't even talk hourly, we're talking
No,
a
but I'm-
salary of
Right.
$37,000.
But if you're gonna get
But
paid,
everybody
I
does.
think what she's talking about though is, we pay people in this town every other week.
Right.
I'd like to think you expect some money coming in every other week, I
Well,
would.
that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. You take the 37,000,
Divided by 26.
figure it out by 26 paychecks.
I have.
And that's what she'd get every week.
Right.
I mean,
And then, and that's the salary piece. Then the other part that we're talking about, because my understanding, the last board I sat with, we didn't say no benefits. We said, let's go, here's 37,000, and let's go and talk with whoever we have there. Because it may be, benefits may not be a big deal for someone, at that time, we hadn't had the election. And it may be huge for someone else, that I wasn't aware that benefits was off the table. At least that's my understanding, Chris.
No, it was
Ian-
salary. We
Ian-
definitely talked about salary. I mean, Rod was there. We
I
definitely
don't
talked.
remember removing benefits dollars.
No.
Right,
It just was left.
Well, in
as
fact, I
what-
think that was talk that came from a different pot, as I recall that
It does
night.
come.
Yeah.
That, you know, I recall that discussion, that was a different pot.
Yeah.
That everything went into, so it wouldn't be affecting the salary. But it was, in the first memorandum, it does say it. I just as soon not have a memorandum of understanding. I think as long as we all understand what the salary is, that I'm entitled to benefits, that's huge for me. Honestly, that's huge for me. Absolutely huge for me. And it's not like Suzanne didn't get them and I'm asking for something Suzanne didn't have. And I think even Carolyn had them, didn't she? Do we remember that? Is she there?
Carolyn was on social security, that's why the
I don't,
salary.
I don't think she did it. I think the benefit started with Suzanne.
You want the salary.
But if you look down through that, you'll find that I don't think there's any town that does not at this point offer benefits.
I think having 3 new people on the board here, and we're dealing with decisions that were made by a previous board. I think what we have to do is see if those benefits are in the budget.
Well,
You know, I'm just.
yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying that in the first memorandum I was given, they were offered.
Okay,
So they must have been in the budget
Well-
and then they were taken away.
but that's what I'm just saying. I just feel that the 3 new members have got to see if this money is in the budget before we can say, you know, we can do what we want to do. I just feel, right now, I think the main thing is that you get the salary that you should be getting from now until June or July.
And when will you give me an answer on the
Benefits?
benefits?
I think we can go through that. I think our town manager can get through the budget and find out.
I would rather someone else looked into that.
Okay, well-
Sorry, town manager is the person we go to.
Well,
And you
he's
gotta-
not- but
you-
he's not my boss, and we're having issues with
understand.
Neither are we.
harassment here. We're
Neither
having-
are, but you're accusing
Yeah,
us of
well, no, but
all
I'm
kinds of
having
things.
problems with harassment here, and so I would feel better.
We will,
How about Jenny?
we will take care of,
I would,
we will speak about, we'll have a meeting about harassment. But
Did you want to take the next 2 weeks and kind of review that? So you guys can stop in and see Jenny if you want, or however you want to handle it. That's up to you guys.
before I say we're gonna give this, I wanna make sure it's there. Because I don't wanna see us short later on because we were giving benefits that wasn't in the budget. If they're in the budget for next year,
I can't imagine why they
Well,
wouldn't be.
I don't, but, like, as I said,
Well, yeah,
you're
but I'm
new.
saying, but if
It's
you
just
look-
like, you're new at your, and you're not new at your job, but
No, I'm not.
you're new in your position. Even though we've sat on the board before,
Can I
a
just
lot of things have
point out the
changed.
fact that if we had stopped at the first memorandum of understanding,
It
and
would
I
have been in
hadn't
there.
said,
Which you
I
don't
would
want.
not sign it because it was illegal to sign,
Why?
because it says, he said absolutely no time off, and sick time is mandated by the state, therefore it's not enforceable.
It's not
Therefore, I
illegal,
wouldn't
it's
sign
just
it.
an
It's
omission.
not enforceable.
It's not illegal, you make
It's
it,
not-
you're
it's
very
not-
dramatic, and
it's not
I don't think you need to
enforceable.
be.
Well, it's not enforceable. So if I had signed it, I would be getting benefits. That's what I'm saying. So obviously, the benefits were there because it was in the first memorandum of understanding. And
Yeah.
that's what makes sense to me. If we hadn't gone on to the second one, the first one would be in.
I can't argue with you there,
Thank you.
but let's make sure we know that it's there before we,
I also want you to understand that, you know, we don't have a town treasurer for a reason, and the reason is there's no money in the budget. No one wants it. You know, the fact that
there's
money.
always money.
there's not enough money to cover what anyone's willing to take, obviously, because no one wants it. You can't just say, I'm just not gonna give people any money. If you don't have a town clerk, if you don't have a town treasurer, if you don't have the listers, if you don't have all these people who help to run the town because there's not money to pay them, you're not gonna have a town, and you're not gonna have those resources.
This is
Well,
not the
if you
time
wanna-
to make that argument. The time to make that argument was during the budget season. And
And I'll be making that again.
I expect to see you.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe.
But-
So, yeah, that's all I'm saying. I just wanna be treated like everybody else.
I'd love to
You know?
be too.
So, do we want, for tonight, I think there's agreement on salary, you should be getting paid, back pay for March first up until July, prorated on whatever was left over, and then moving forward, July 1, your 37,000 would be divided by 26, and that's what you get each payment, and you set your work hours. Like I said, if the public doesn't like it, they won't vote for you, but if they vote for you, then
Is,
You know,
it's,
You know, and it wasn't like I won because I was the only one running and I
No,
got
I
the
know.
votes. You know,
Yeah.
I won by a good margin.
but some days you have 15 hours, and some days you might come in for a 4-hour shift.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I certainly on election days, when I say, I've been here till 1 o'clock in the, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Or you take a 3-day weekend,
And
or a
take a-
4.
Yeah, and that's fine with me.
Is there money in the budget for the assistant? Or
There is a little bit.
how's that work? I mean,
The assistant, and I think I don't even know, it's 4,500 now, I think mine was 5,000. But when I was the assistant, I knew the job. So when Suzanne was gone, I could step in, I could do things.
okay.
I'm now gonna look at an assistant that doesn't know even how to do a DMV or do a dog registration, knows nothing. So I have to train that person, and the only way to train somebody is for me to be there at the same time, which then will cut down on her being there when I'm not.
I understand.
That's the point. Thank you.
Do you wanna make a motion for that, or not?
Sure. For the salary,
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we pay the town clerk salary that was in the budget from March 1st through June 30th.
And then the next,
And then, do you want to, and they both in the same, and starting July 1st, it's the 37,000
divided by the pay
divided by the
periods,
number,
whatever there is.
the number of the pay periods.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Glenn, seconded by Jay. Discussion on that further? All in favor of the motion?
I,
Okay, the motion carries.
and the action items that I saw besides that were that we're gonna check into the
The benefits.
benefits, see if in the budget. The real serious allegations from earlier, we need to,
I really
Do an
I-
investigation.
Absolutely.
We
And
need-
what I've given you is everything that's run down. I have anything I think I have given you the back and forth. I'd be happy to talk to any of you at any time. Thank thank you for listening to me, I appreciate it. And I'm glad to have this, I'm getting kind of sick of working for $14.60.
I just got
I don't blame you.
I got a question. How, if you had a person, average individual, high school education or whatever, how, it wouldn't be hard for them to pick up this training, would it? I mean, seriously, I mean,
This would be the time
it
to do
should be
it.
pretty easy for them to pick that up. Or not?
You know,
Is it that difficult?
There's, I look at myself, I mean, I love history, and there's an awful lot of history in this job. There's, ladies.
Yeah, but I'm
lot of
talking
history.
about, your dog registration, your
Yeah,
DMV, that
but,
stuff.
you know, there's more to it than that, certainly, but yeah, that's it, but, you know, trying to find some, if I found somebody, a college, a high school kid to come in, they're not gonna be, available when I wanna take a weekend off in the fall, they'll be in school. And after school, who wants a part-time job that's literally $5,000?
I don't
that's-
think the high school kid is the answer. You need somebody that can stay with us for a few years.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, look at me. I mean, I'm newly elected and a week from today, I'm 61. I don't think I'm gonna make it 33 years here, but you never know. You know, it'd be a goal. I love the job. I can't, you know, I never thought I would be town clerk. I absolutely love the job. I love the people that come in. My other town clerks are absolutely amazing. Suzanne, incredible mentor. Yeah, we need somebody young. There's not a lot, sadly, it's one of those with anything else. No one wants to sit on a board. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, a lot of stress. And I don't think most people realize the amount of stress that's in that office. No. It's a tremendous amount of, the responsibility is very heavy. Yeah. You know, we've even got your minute taker shaking her head. It's a stressful job.
I'm sorry you had to go through everything we have so far, but we will.
Yeah,
We will
I
get
appreciate you.
Yeah, so
doing
we
everything.
will, I wanna let these guys get some time to go over stuff and
Well, it should be
2
a,
weeks fine, if we put it
yeah, I
back on the
mean, it
next
should be
agenda.
a yes or no answer if it's budgeted.
Good.
I mean, it probably is, it's probably a one lump sum, I don't know how that,
But if
well,
it
no,
is,
you have to add each
everybody be
person to it.
listed.
Yeah,
People that
yeah.
are there would be listed.
Alright, so more to come, Suzanne, thank you, or not, Suzanne.
Yes.
Suzanne,
I'm the new
you're retired,
I'm the new
sorry.
Suzanne.
And I highly recommend.
Retirement is a good thing.
It's excellent.
Danny, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, where are we at?
Water meter fees.
New business, water meter fees. I think Joe put something in your packet on those, right?
Yep.
Article 12.
Yeah, so in the past,
Join over to hell, we are Article 12.
Joe, do you wanna go over that and?
sure, so last time we did this with, the previous manager, I think it was Serena, when they did meter replacements, they actually imposed a fee on the bill itself, so if you didn't have your meter replaced, you got a $25 fee or whatever it was. Our ordinance, however, actually has already fines and fees built to it, built in, that allow the town to impose those fines if folks don't get the meter replaced. At this point, if there's really no action to take, we can start sending those letters out, no action by the board. We can start sending those letters out, letting the 32 people know that they need to get their meters replaced. Or
So
they'll
you
get,
think-
or they'll get a fine.
So you think A allows you to enter and change the meter? Right? Is that what you're saying?
A and G.
G allows the change of the meter,
Yep.
and then section 1202C is where you can impose a fine.
Yep. And since it's a civil ordinance, this is something I believe the chief can handle.
Problem was that the ordinance says you can enter a residence. They say no, still, we don't have any authority to do that. That would revert back to you, maybe shutting the water off. So we can fly.
Just turning it up.
Yeah. Rich, did you?
The meters are owned by the town of Fairhaven, correct?
Correct. But they're in a private residence, I think is what you're saying, Bill, that,
Yeah, so the ordinance allows you to enter under the ordinance, but if they could, if the homeowner can file a refuse, you're not coming in.
Right, and if they say no,
So our only recourse would be to shut the water off until we comply. Or maybe go through civil court to get a court injunction to allow us to go in either to remove our piece of equipment or change it. That would be through court. I would put myself in a situation
Yeah.
where I say the ordinance, so they can do this. It's just like, it's civil, not not from a magistrate.
but we're down to 30, what'd you say?
32, I think.
32,
Something
so
like
hopefully we can work with those folks and.
Yeah, there's some of them that can't do until farm,
Sure.
farm because they're in trailers.
Yeah, but I would think that time has come now.
Yeah.
By the time the letter goes out, for sure.
So, I mean, if the board feels that this is
yeah, let's,
what we can
so
stand on.
you're just
that's-
looking for the board saying, go ahead and,
Or you were
Yeah.
just providing background on,
Yeah, it's, you guys have already approved the ordinance, so I mean, at this point, we'll just enforce it, and, we'll send out the letters that Rich has been asking for 2 weeks now. So we'll get those out to let folks know.
Well, I just think if the letter was sent out nicely to explain the situation, that it's a savings to them people as well as everybody, you know, we gotta get it done, basically.
put some of those positives in there, you know, we found
Yeah.
water leaks in properties, we've
Exactly.
saved homeowners money.
Yeah, maybe if the letter explained that, they'd be a little more cooperative, you know?
I think,
We've sent letters before, so they're just being obstinate, but it doesn't hurt to do it one more time and tell them it's gonna get ugly.
Yeah, we don't wanna bushwhack anybody,
Right,
but
right.
at the same
I don't
time, it does
think-
need to be done.
I don't think $500 a day is appropriate.
It says up to though, right?
That's what it says here.
Up to,
in the
so,
new- It says up to, but here it says this is a
Not
$500
to,
day
not to
penalty.
exceed $500.
I think that your better option is turn the water off than actually.
even, but you
Right.
just,
Well,
you just
yeah.
say, if you don't do it by this date right here, we're just gonna turn, and let us
Turn the
know when
water.
to turn the water back on. And I'm pretty sure that meter will be changed.
And the
We
water,
put the ordinance
Not
in
to
there,
exceed,
you
yeah.
could be fined daily.
Here's
That's what we
exact-
learned on these, so every day
This
is a
is what he
violation,
sent
you
us.
could send
Yeah.
a $500 ticket. But I don't think you're gonna get more traction on it.
Up to, but it says not to
I
exceed.
mean, I think,
But I think shutting the water off is probably much more effective.
so who's the hearing officer? The amount of civil penalty shall be determined by the hearing officer, not to exceed $500 per offense.
If it's written on the ordinance, it would go to judicial bureau, similar to all the other ordinances.
Gotcha. And that person would have discretion on $100, $50,
The way
$200.
the ordinance is written, we have to put a waiver law on there, so I don't really like the ordinance so much, it probably should be looked at in the future. Most traffic ordinances, your fine is or $47 to $197, the waiver is this.
Yeah.
So if you agree to it, you pay that, if not, the judge can set it between that range.
Alright, I think you should send the letters out, Joe, and.
Yep.
And take the next step after.
what are you
that.
gonna put for, we gotta have a date when it's gotta be completed by.
We're gonna do next billing, so if you don't have it done by this time, which is,
Is it June, isn't it?
yeah, June, so it gives you 2 months. All of April, all of May, about 6 weeks once I get the letter.
So you just stated that it has, by the next billing, it has to be done or the water's shut off.
Basically, it only takes them a few minutes to change that meter
Yeah.
out, so.
They were in on my garage in like 10 minutes.
Maybe you could
They're fast.
explain in that letter that it's just a in and out quick job. You just need to be there for somebody that you designate to be there, and
The guys will work with you, it's not like the cable company where
Certainly
they'll be
will.
there from 8 to 5, you know, they'll be there when
When they
Say
say
you're
they're
there.
If they have an appointment, they're there.
they're there, yeah,
I'll give them.
so. Okay, alright.
Good.
Outside seating policy.
That's why
All right, yeah, Rachel's here. So we talked about this last year, and we're finally getting around to it now that summer's coming up. This is an application for businesses to put seating outside, either in, say, parking spaces or other designated areas or up against the building. We did have to pull together a policy for this to make it official, so that's what's in your hand, is the draft of that.
I read it 10 times, no, I
Joe,
can't
did the guy from the, did you got that email I forwarded to you, right, from the guy from the state asking,
I did not.
can you forward it to you? Great.
It's always tomorrow. Jay, do you need a copy?
I think, I know I got it, because I read it.
Are you looking,
This thing right here, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Are you looking for some questions? I went through the policy, and I'm just a couple questions, Camp, that I had. Now, outside dining and everything, so you have the necessary liquor license. Is an outside consumption permit also needed, that, like we did one from the town clerk, did one? It made me think that we had one in the packet last time, so do we need an outside consumption permit as well?
That's in here, so you
It's
need.
part of it?
Yep, you need to have your liquor license and the outside consumption.
Which they applied here, right?
For the outside, for the outside consumption and for the liquor licenses, all gets bumped to the state. This particular,
With our approval, though.
yes,
It seems like that's what we always did with, the Eagles.
it is.
I think they used to do it with the Legion also.
Right, yeah.
I think the only difference, now we're talking, Eagles and Legion did outside consumption on their property.
Yes.
So we're gonna be on the sidewalk, which I still don't have any problem with that either, but as long as there's a 5-foot section of sidewalk that's open for people to walk by, and, you know, in a roped off area.
The other thing is we tried that little diamond area. That seemed, did you ever see that where, when we had a little pop-up park?
Yeah, that's exactly
That's where-
where we wanna put like two
Right in the
picnic
corner.
tables basically, and then maybe a couple smaller tables or chairs on the sidewalk. So that
Yeah.
so that people can go through. I guess my question is, cause last year it was kind of the understanding that we couldn't do it because you have to rope off because it's alcohol, but then you can't obstruct the flow of foot traffic on the sidewalk. But now, Joe, did you say that's sort of changed, or? you
It's,
don't-
so as long as it's roped off, as long as you have a dedicated doorway ingress and egress from the seating area, you're okay. You can't block the sidewalk.
So you rope off the seating area with the
Rope
access
off
in.
the
With
seating
one
area
access
with
in.
one.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
What-
if you think of Burlington, if you think of Church Street, every single one of those places
Yeah.
has that, and they can just walk, you just walk through. If you need to walk through that part, it's not a big deal.
Well, if we did it in that diamond part, what would happen?
That's where you're either.
Because you have to walk across 5 foot of sidewalk.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
That would be fine.
That's fine, yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, so that's not a problem then, so.
Just as
you
long as
could
you're not
put-
consuming in that area, is that?
Yeah,
the-
you could, probably they'd have to carry it through there to the people sitting there?
Yeah, so the consumers can't take that alcohol and walk to the street or even through the door. That has to be, the alcohol has to stay in the,
Broke that, right?
yeah.
Well,
But they're-
that's
That's
exactly what happens.
But they would deliver, the
Right,
place would deliver the alcohol out to them,
Yes.
Right.
so they could walk
Okay,
across.
that's important to know, because that's not how we function. in our
Right, you pick it up
full
yourself.
service,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's gotta come to you.
But if they were,
That would-
if the people sitting at the tables in front of the building, that was roped off,
That would be different.
they could take it out themselves, correct?
yeah, I
But
think we're
it's not-
splitting hairs here,
Yeah,
that
that's
we
not-
don't have to.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
guessing
It's a good
you're not gonna
website.
have a problem, a complaint.
But- Other question I just had when, we'll go page 1. Page 2, because this is an open air dining and retail sales, were you thinking, is this all strictly for alcohol? Because I think in terms of Durfee's, once we put something together, an application for a permit, we have Durfee's and they put their clothing out. Is does the requirement of being, having to cordon it off, it just made me think, when open air dining and retail sales, is it open air dining with alcohol consumption, and then it's fine, but if it's truly retail sales, I'm trying to think of where else you might have. Down, let's say the Fairhaven Pizza House wants to have a couple tables out there and you can eat your pizza. With the same requirements, and if that were the case, where it said amendment to alcohol beverage license description, you might want another amendment for retail sales, 1 and 2, to describe it. And I can see someone, as soon as this happens, if I'm a business down, saying, hey, that's a pretty good thing to do. Why wouldn't I want to? Or say a coffee house wants to, doesn't have to necessarily be alcohol.
But if you look at the application,
Yep,
I thought it changed.
it says for application information, and then outdoor seating with alcohol, they have to fill that one section out. It's not like,
You still serve
right,
food
they can
anyway.
still serve food, but if they have to have this other license, they gotta show their liquor license and the agency's name.
but I guess what I'm trying to get, okay, even, you
Are
can
you
do
trying
food.
to say, should we be charging
But
Durfee?
I'm just saying, Durfee's uses the sidewalk, been using it for years. We're going to say, oh, by the way, but if it's food or alcohol, you should cordon it off and not block the sidewalk. The same rules would have to apply to Durfee's, in my mind, as to anybody else.
But I think if you really wanna read the law, it says, the reason why you have to run a rope or petition it off is because of alcohol.
Because of the alcohol.
So it's not you don't have to, if it's a merchandise, they're not serving alcohol, you don't have to rope it off.
So if the Wooden Soldier wanted a couple tables so you'd have breakfast
They
and your
did last
coffee,
year.
you don't have to rope it off.
They put some out there last year.
Correct.
Okay,
I
then,
think the roping off is strictly for alcohol.
strictly for alcohol, okay,
For your
that's,
alcohol consumption.
Because I know the Legion, when I was involved down there, we used to apply every year, we roped off the back section.
mhm.
We had a couple of tables out there and a barbecue going, and we had.
Cause I know,
Okay,
I do know that the
It
league,
was strictly there, you couldn't leave that area.
and at the Eagles Club, they have a set, so they serve alcohol under the pavilion. So they can't walk across the driveway
okay.
with alcohol. So they have to do it that way, so.
On the third page or here, I think it's called page 1 on this one here, Exhibit X. My question on D was the sidewalk areas available for business use, talks about the open air dining guidelines. And it's talking about the town manager or his designee are the one to overall determine that. I'm going, okay, why is that, if we want to do that, overall supervision of the select board? If the select board's going to be the overall supervision, why isn't the select board?
Where are you?
I'm on
D.
Exhibit X
But
of the
I
guidelines.
believe that's just for original setup. I don't think you've gotta go there every day and look at what's going on. That's for the original permit and the original setup, somebody has to go check it.
I agree, unless there's a complaint.
Right, unless there's a complaint. I don't think it has anything to do with.
So that's fine. Do we have any zoning consideration? We talked to Phil to see if we have any issues with our zoning.
We did. We talked to Phil, I talked to Aaron, and Chief, since you're here, any?
I've spoken with all the neighboring businesses, they're fine with it.
I think it only benefits everybody.
Okay,
I do too. I mean, once again, it's something that's gonna bring people into town.
Anything we can do,
And it's gonna just make an atmosphere where
It's
people
gonna look
can
more
come in.
welcoming, so.
Yeah.
I guess, can I just interrupt? I guess I need clarity then on how I'm supposed to rope off. Because this could, we just wanna make sure we function in accordance to your rules,
Mhm.
but it also has to work with how we flow as a business. So
Right.
I just need clarity.
You know what I would do? I would set it up the way you want to,
Okay.
and let
down and look.
everybody just figure out how the rope should be.
As long as there's
You know,
5 foot of
There should
sidewalk.
be egress for people that are going by.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
It says 5 foot of sidewalk for people to get, to go
So, okay, so then, I have a whiteboard. So where the no parking zone is, where the pop-up was, if we cordoned off around it and just made an entrance from the sidewalk into it,
Right.
that's acceptable? I don't
I
have
think
to make it roped off continuous with the entrance to my building?
I don't think you can, because you gotta
Yeah,
have that, you gotta have the
sidewalk.
pass-through,
Okay,
you know, and I think that the, probably the thing that's gonna be the only problem with your business model is people walking that way with beer. You know, so you may have to deliver
I
that
read
beer.
that somewhere, where it'd be 5 foot.
It's in the
I can
drawing.
see
Huh?
where
I think it's in the
that's a,
drawing on there.
I
But
can see where
think-
that's a good thing to have, because people could walk off the street out of their car with a beer and stuff
sure,
like that.
yeah, we don't want that,
No.
so. Okay, but if we kept seating
Not that I
close to
ever
our
did that.
building, we can rope it off so that there's still space on the
Yeah.
sidewalk for people to walk by.
Yeah, I think
People
it's,
could get their own beer.
yeah, you know,
Get your own beer, yeah,
Yeah, you
okay.
So as part of the application, is a site map required, not just a
I
sketch?
think an actual,
I thought-
Kinda looks something
I
like
thought it
that.
said photos, drawings, submit
and
color
my drawing
photos,
is not
graphics.
pretty, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Probably
Did
better
I
than
say
mine.
with the scale?
Yeah,
But,
That's where it's at,
right there,
where
yeah.
it says 5 foot from the,
Sidewalk to the curb.
yeah, for passage.
I think that a 5 foot's an ADA rule anyway. That's
Yeah,
probably is, yeah.
standard.
Yeah,
Standard.
probably is. That can
Well,
be,
what you do, you get it set up and we'll all come down and sit there.
To make sure
And I
it's
can
working just
serve
right.
you, and make sure it works.
somebody bring a tape measure to make it look official.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Alright, so, any folks fine with the permit?
Go ahead, Heather.
I really think that, the, you know, the specifics of where the ropes go are,
Okay, I just wanna make sure we follow the rules.
It's really administrative, isn't it? I mean.
yeah, it's,
There,
yeah,
I see a
between-
spot on here for the police chief to sign off on, the town manager,
Yeah.
DPW director, if they see something that's not, I mean, Bill knows the liquor rules and what you can and can't.
I'm sure they will be around.
Oh, yeah,
They will
exactly.
be,
And the sidewalk is town property, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cause we had gotten an email from this, whoever on the liquor board saying that we needed it to state in our lease. It's complicated because we own the building, but technically the business rents from us. Anyway, but they were like, it should state in our lease that we have permission to do this. But I'm like, it's not our sidewalk. So I don't know if they know that, so I'll just make sure they know that the sidewalk is town property, not,
Yeah, and
not
you're going
ours.
through our permit process,
Right.
so that should be,
And they're aware of that.
right, so that should be,
We should be covered then.
yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
So we would be approving the permit application draft, or not the draft, but what folks would use, whether it's their business or another business or.
Some heartburn that may come up though, is that if we apply this, then it would apply to all businesses. So there is a $25 fee, and Durfee's would have to, if it's approved, we'd have to ask Durfee's to fill out an application and have them pay. Same with, say, like Cindy Pritchard, who puts stuff out on her sidewalk. Does she want to put her stuff out there for sale? And if so, please get a permit. That's,
So
But
even though the alcohol is a
Even
different
though
I would
So-
think that, it seems to me like that's my thought process.
the only thing is, it's just because of the alcohol.
It's just the alcohol that makes the difference, so who cares if somebody's got it hanging some
Because,
yeah,
boats out there?
listen,
so,
are we gonna ask for permits when they put apartments in the downstairs and people sit on the sidewalk in their lawn chairs?
I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get there, yeah.
Yeah,
I think this is just for alcohol, I really do.
Yes, I do
I
too.
don't think we wanna get,
yeah.
We want to pull out the retail sales.
Yeah,
let's take the
modify that.
retail sales off the top of the application and go slash, open air dining, and
Just leave
with
it.
alcohol, with
Open
alcohol
it
or something.
during an
And then you
alcohol.
don't even get into the,
Right.
Leave,
the
get the
dirt.
retail sales
It was
out.
just the title that had me asking the
Yeah.
questions around the number of.
I really understand what you're saying, but
No, I would agree, you'd wanna apply it.
I think, and I understand what Joe says, if it does say that,
Then everybody's gotta do
then,
it.
yeah, well, I don't think we wanna do
I
that.
don't
We don't wanna discourage people from doing the right thing.
So do you wanna,
Just, on the application, I would suggest that we take the retail sales off the top of the application.
Sounds like a motion.
I'll make a motion.
what is there other stuff?
Any
in
place
here
where it's, anything that says in this, or in this thing,
that refers to retail
About-
that
business?
refers to
About open
retail.
air dining and alcohol
Right,
sales.
just
Right.
say that. yeah.
And then
Retail
anything that's
sales.
in here about retail, take it out.
Okay, that was a motion, I believe.
Yes, it was a motion.
Second, and I'll try to repeat it.
I'll second
Bob's
it.
gonna repeat it.
Second.
So I think the motion was to approve the, application that was presented with it, with changing it and removing retail sales out of it. Wherever it is throughout the document.
Are you replacing it with alcohol? Because that was separate.
Yeah.
See?
The
Yes.
open dining area and alcohol.
and alcohol.
Yeah,
Open air
I'm
dining.
thinking Sean Tomasi wants to put a couple tables out,
Yeah,
alcohol pizza. It would be the same, the Fairhaven, Inn. No, but I'm just saying, or the Fairhaven Inn.
Pretty good.
Is there a sidewalk?
Thanks,
going
Gary.
around
Been
there?
a long time with it.
No,
They have that porch.
they're at the front porch.
So you got,
There.
are you good with the motion now? I think.
To approve application presented with change to remove retail sale to open area dining and alcohol,
Sounds good to me.
seconded by Mr. Richards.
Any other questions on that?
Any edits are fine.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. I got a permit for you to fill out.
I hear nothing but good things.
Good luck.
It is.
He's doing good.
I know because I've been there so much, so I know it's all good stuff.
I've only been a couple times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Kind of a bummer when it comes to pubs.
Scrap deposit. Looks like we got some scrap money from the playground equipment.
We did. $481.70 came in from scrapping the old playground equipment, and the board needs to decide where to put that money.
My suggestion would be go back into playground equipment,
Right. I agree.
not recreation, playground equipment.
Because it's gonna wear out and.
Right.
Well, do we have a,
Is there a reserve
what is
account
the
specific?
reserve account we have that would closely fit that?
Can you do, if it is a playground, can we just earmark this money for equipment, for playground equipment?
Oh, yeah, you could drop it into, the rec building.
We have rec
And it
building.
would
in
sit there,
reserve.
and we could have, on Jenny's ledger, she could just mark it as,
Is there,
Yep, rec building, we have 19,000 already there.
yeah, does that include playground maintenance also? Is there,
there's not a reserve fund for.
well, maybe we should, would it be better off going
In the
Maintenance in
reserve,
case you have to repair the equipment, you mean?
in there?
we have a recreation account in the reserve, and that's got, recreation account has 72,900 in it.
As long as, all I wanna make sure is that the money can be used for either
I'm
repair
going
the
by
playground
the-
equipment or.
Well, that's what we've got. We got recreation building. Where's,
I'm going by the one that we put together from a couple meetings. It's easier to see what's there and what's earmarked out there for me is all.
yeah, I was just looking at general fund reserve account. It says recreation building.
Recreation building here says Bob 19.
Recreation building says
369.
19,369.
This one says 45.
Yeah, this, I don't know if that's been updated since, these get updated every month. This will get updated as things move in and out.
Well,
So that might not be updated.
we're not talking about a huge amount of money here.
My motion is to put it into the recreation building fund. earmarked as playground equipment.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Motion by Jay, seconded by Glenn to transfer the $481.71 to the playground equipment fund.
Mhm.
Questions on the motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Capital budget plan 2022. What do you got there for us, Joe?
Oh, so we updated our, bear with me. We updated our capital budget, the capital program and budget policy a few months ago. We thought instead of just the staff coming to the board and saying, this is what we need, and then trying to figure out how to fund it or not fund it at all, we thought we would turn it around and say, board, here's a list of the things that we have, what do you want to fund? We thought that might be a better way instead of, making something and going back to the drawing board every couple of months. And we're doing this now because there are some capital projects that need to be budgeted for in our water and sewer budget, which are coming up later this month, later this month in May. So now would be the time to start planning our capital spending. And this is just, kind of a first pass. I didn't expect any real decision.
Approval or whatever.
Yeah, no, just kind of get an idea of what we're up to.
Can I ask a question about
This one, yeah.
this, where are we? I'm looking at, there are some things that are payments that we don't, are those the ones that are yellowed?
Yep. Anything yellow is,
So that's consistent, we gotta put, that's there.
yeah, those are there.
All right. And then the other things are suggestions.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
When I looked at this, Joe, three things jumped out at me, and so I want to make sure I'm reading it right. So this is a capital plan that we looked 5 and 7 years out there, and I looked in things like Adams Street Bridge, which is a high priority. I didn't see any dollars in there. Town Garage, new reserve, which we talk about quite a bit, need replacing, no money. And way down at the bottom, municipal building rehabilitation, and I see money starting to go in, it looks like in 2024, but as we're, I know when last budget season, when we had to, there was some repairs like the soffit and everything, because we didn't have the money. I'm saying, boy, there's a lot of repairs that need to be done, and if this is a capital plan and we're gonna be talking about putting money in there, the municipal building probably needs some money.
So, and I agree.
Police station, fire department, all the buildings could use some
Sure, so,
TLC.
yeah, so I just used what we had drafted before, the current plan that kind of fell to the side. Those numbers and the years are completely irrelevant to the board.
Oh, okay. So
Whatever
there's
the board, in the past, as we've built a schedule and tried to fund that schedule, we get, what I've experienced is we typically get about 6 months into it, and then it's like, we're not doing that. So now we'd like to ask the board, like, these are the things we still need, budget seasons are coming, where does the board wanna put the money? And whichever year, whatever you wanna fund this year. So if you wanna buy a new truck, Jay was very excited about buying more equipment. Now would be the time, so that way we can prepare for it.
And that stuff's all great, and we have these good plans, I think, just we don't have the money. Like, we have, I'm making up numbers, $2.5 million worth of capital needs in the next 10 years, but we can only budget $50,000 a year.
50,000 a year.
I totally made up numbers, but I don't know how we get actually in sync with that, and it just, we
Well,
put,
I think that
Yeah.
you're exactly right, and I think that the only way to do that is really hard, real gut wrenching stuff. I mean, we gotta say, the pickup you got is gonna last you another 5 years, or 10 years, or whatever, you know.
Wash it.
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. You gotta, I mean, and people have to take responsibility, but we have to say, like for instance, the dew sign, the loader. Assume we're gonna have that for 15 years. Don't assume we're gonna have it for 2 or 5, or when it stops being shiny. You know, assume that we're going to, and we have to make those decisions. We have to get DPW and water and sewer to buy into it too. So if they feel strongly about something, then they have to come in here and be collaborative with us and figure out how we can pay for that. And what we don't pay for is the other end of it. What can we make live longer than it does now?
According to this printout sheet you got here, this is the last year for the fire truck payment?
That payment is gone, yes.
It's over with. That's
It's over
done.
with, yeah.
Don't let them know that.
I think they do.
Yeah, they,
Believe me, I've already heard complaints.
So, I mean, I don't know
but
how we
that's
get
just
there.
that's exactly the thing that,
Yeah.
you know, so what we should be doing is, we should talk to the fire department, here's what you got. Don't tell us,
Yeah.
don't wish list me, tell me what you need and what we need to plan for, you know.
And I was just trying, I'm looking at that spreadsheet that they gave us, but then I go back to then, where does the one that we worked on and said, here's the funding, here's what you have, here's, I mean, that one with the minimum funding, current earmarked available funding, that's the document I wanna look at in making the decisions that, that one, I always had trouble figuring out. This one here, because I know the fire department, we paid for it, but I'm not showing, it doesn't show payments going out, it just shows public works vehicle has currently 91,000. So when we start talking, they want their vehicles and equipment, they want something, that's what we have in there. What are you asking for, what's the priority? This one, and I thought the thought when we put it together, was this one might be more helpful for us making those budget and decisions. So so when you do put that, I just would like to have this document with it, because that's the one that helps me. Because it shows the things like I brought up before, the town garage, there's 67,000 in the funds for the town garage. And the municipal building has 103, we earmarked 100, so for our municipal building, we have $3,924. So I mean,
Right.
we're
It's not gonna buy anything.
not gonna buy us much.
No,
But this one jumps out and helps me,
The problem is, it's getting worse every day,
oh,
you know?
I feel like that's the tough part, you know, we debate about $100 here, $100 there in the budget, but we're talking millions here. And we're at 3.65% budget increase. And I think we cut, I don't know exactly, but I think we cut down on a lot of these.
a budget increase that we almost got voted down.
9 votes.
It almost didn't pass. It was that tight, yeah.
Well, everybody's having the same problem. I mean, let's face it. I mean,
That's why it's more critical than ever not to waste the money. Prep these roads first before we pave them, things like that. That's very, very, very important. To use it wisely.
And that's where, you know, I've always thought, is it a broader conversation, even more than just budgeting, like how we're operating the police department, how we're operating DPW, like, I know they debated the regionalization of PD and all that stuff, but is there a way to save costs, but have somewhat of the same services? And I don't know, I know Phil and I have talked about that in the past, I don't know. I'm not picking on the PD, but I'm just saying in general.
It's hard because, you gotta look at everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And where you used to be able to do something for $300, well, that's $700 now.
Yeah.
And it's just like talking salaries. In order to stay with the cost of living, you gotta give them pay, and I mean, and it's just like anything else. 60% of your budget, you have no control. You gotta play your money on where you're gonna save in that 40%. Because I'm not saying exactly 60-40, I'm just, but there's a
Large
part of that
percentage.
is there. There's nothing we can do about it. Try to explain that to the public.
Well, the other end of the story is they're getting the same thing in their private
Yeah.
life. I mean, everything's costing more. And,
Yeah, I know.
and, you know,
I just got a propane bill for $900 for 3 weeks.
Fuel was $5.15 this week.
yeah, so,
So I think this is good, but I think
Yep.
it may be part of a larger vision discussion of where we're headed in the capital improvement plan, but also the
This
vision
gives
of
you
the
some
town.
idea on what you'd like
What's
to be
out
looking
there.
at.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you've gotta go back and cipher out what you can do and can't do. I mean, that's what the
and
bottom line is.
I think that the thing to do is get each department head in here and spend an hour, a very specific hour, pounding out how they wanna proceed.
Yeah, they may have some good ideas about
Right.
saving money,
Right.
you know?
Then, you know, it's kinda like, let them, you know, let them do,
Let them be part of the
let them be part of the
solution.
process, but, and you know, the buck stops with us, we gotta, you know, we've gotta either spend it or not.
I mean, in Bill's department, he does, I think, do a good job with that. You know, you stretch the cars out. If you find a deal down in New Jersey, you run down and grab so it's
Right,
it's kind of that out of the box thinking a little bit that
They have done a good
That
job with
helps.
that because that's saved a lot of money
it has.
by buying somebody's secondhand cars.
Yeah.
40,000 right now, I got a price on a new Charger just because I was getting a new pickup myself.
Yeah.
When we had one, he goes, that's 40 grand. For the car we bought for 23, the one I'm driving is
Yeah,
2017. I was like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
All right.
But I think this is a start. I think this is where we gotta start at.
Mhm.
How about the
Good.
policy? Any tweaks you want to see come back in another draft on that? Or, I mean, take a couple weeks to look at it too. It's,
The policy looks pretty good.
pretty
I looked
flat,
at-
pretty
I looked
straight
at
out,
what
I
we-
think,
Yeah.
I
The
think,
one that we did in 2011 didn't change much.
no, no.
and I like the weighting and all that, I think that's a nice exercise you guys did, that works out well. And, you know, actually, we could use that model on everything, but, you know, I think it's gotta be collaborative, we can't dictate, we don't know and we're gonna hear a lot of this in the next few, it'll be heavily on management, both the town manager and the department heads, to maintain equipment and assume that we don't have a lot of money and that they have to be,
Because we don't have a lot of money,
no, and,
spend money.
that, you know, we got a little
Basically, we
ARPA,
don't have any money.
we got a little ARPA money, and if we parlay that properly, that'll help, but it's not gonna, it doesn't solve the problem. And it, you know, we can't go buy shiny new things with that.
Sure.
So we want to table for 2 weeks so everybody can review a little more and then
Sure.
bring it back for approval. If you have changes, just stop in and talk with Joe or.
Yeah, and I would say that in that 2 weeks, if an update of this spreadsheet and the other one that,
Yeah, the policy one.
if that could, come from DPW and water and sewer, particularly water and sewer, cause that's the next, I mean,
I'm having a hard time with my words apparently. So the kind of the thought process behind this particular policy was that since even before I got here, even before the manager before that, many of these spreadsheets like you have in your hand have come to the board and said, this is what we want, and we have never stuck to one.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
I'm
saying-
asking what frustrates staff, and I'm one included, is that we keep asking, or being asked, you just tell us what you want and when you want it, and we'll work on it. But then it doesn't happen, so it's just kind of a round robin, well, tell us what you want. Well, we're not doing that. Tell us what you want. We're not doing that. So that's why we thought we'll ask the
Well,
board.
I think it should be less wish list and more bare tax, what we need. There's a habit around this, around particularly the DPW, I'll say, to get bright and shiny when maybe something else could work. And we almost bought a new loader one time because of the ladder was bent. You know, you remember that? Remember that argument? So it goes both ways as far as the rawness. So what we need is honesty and necessity.
Okay.
And then assume that even that's not gonna be able to be funded.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Because,
it's just, it's,
going back to what you were saying about the equipment, they'll come in here and cry alligator tears that the truck is no good or this. And then they put the truck out to bid, and the person that buys that truck drives it for 4 more years. We don't get miles on things here. The only thing you get mileage on is usually the cruisers.
Yeah.
That's where the mileage is. As far as town equipment, there's no mileage on it.
Well, and that's why maintenance is even more.
That's right.
because it's sitting
That's right.
around, it's sitting around a lot.
Sitting around is the worst.
And clean stuff, like such as sanders. You go out and spread salt, clean that sander before you put it somewhere,
So how do we do, Joe, giving you direction of what we're looking for?
That was great.
Give us another 2 weeks to tell you.
Yeah,
what we have.
we'll,
I'll ask the departments for what they feel they need this year.
He knows what he
What we should be.
What do you
doing.
guys
what
absolutely?
absolutely do you feel you need to,
Sure.
And if we have to start funding for something that's 5 years down the road, we need to know that too, so we can hard and fast it in the reserve accounts. And maybe we don't put as much as we should, but at least we get something going on it.
Sure.
and somewhere there's a discussion I'd like to have. It looks like we've taken an approach that says, let's have a payment on a lot of items. And I'm going, well, what happened with the mindset of putting some money away and when you can afford it, buy it?
I'd rather.
Because when the payment comes up,
I'd
I
rather
just
see the
got it, that
ladder.
payment never goes away. When you straighten that out, you haven't put any money aside, and you probably have a bigger payment, so,
It's just like the loader payment. What was it, $19,000 a year, or $20,000 a year or something? On the bottom, I think.
22.
So, this has been in the budget for 5 years. It's $22 or somewhere.
22,614.
So, what if the payment's gone? So what if you use half of that payment and put it in the reserve fund every year? You already made that, you're making that payment, you made that payment for 5 years, it's been in the budget. So even if you did half of that and put that in the reserve fund for that piece of equipment, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And that way you don't get slammed with a $22,000 a year payment. And, as Glenn said, you might be able to pay for something outright and get a better deal.
and I look at the policy and under the, page 2 where you talked about the projected financing, and I took 1 through 4 being a priority of how you'd wanna do it. Like if you needed something 100% grant, so it didn't cost you anything, it was the best. Next best is grants with town matching, the next one is funding through reserve, money we put aside. The last thing you wanna do is fund through financing, but it looks like our approach is to fund through financing. And so I'm going, either this is not priority, it's just the different options you have, because if it's priority, we're not following our priority in the policy. Would be my first
Or we
reaction.
are following it and there's just not enough
And there's
money.
just not enough money because of the
So
50,000
financing
we
is the
is the
next-
only way we can get there? Yeah, that too. So I don't, And that's probably how we got
Stretching
there.
it out.
There's no money, so there's the only way to get it is to finance.
Yeah, and it's not, Fairhaven's not any different than anybody else. You know, all towns struggle to, everybody has the best intention to save for 5 years to buy that truck. But 2 or 3 years in, the board's like, well, we really need to cut that budget. Well, we'll cut that in half, and then it just kinda peters off from there. And we're like everyone else, just
Well, I think there has to be.
small town struggle.
You have to be agile, and that means that you have to react to what is reality, and so if we come to the third year of a 5-year plan and we can't afford to put that in, then assume it gets bumped out, it doesn't have any choice.
No, and that's the reality of
Right.
having a
But that
tax
shouldn't,
base and.
that shouldn't be taken by the people that work here that we are, changing our minds.
Hmm.
It's just that we're reacting to reality. And believe me, you know, it's not that big of a deal. We're not doing it for politics.
And everybody understands there's considerations of the tax rate and keeping the budget, tight, so. Yeah, everybody understands that.
Yeah,
mean,
As
the
long
other
as everybody's on the same page, we'll get it, something will work.
The other question I would have too with the ARPA money is one of the expenditures paying off our debt. I mean, there's a lot of payments in there. Would you use some of the ARPA money to, I haven't done the math here, but can you pay off some of that debt? So we're starting with a clean capital plan at zero, well, no debt outstanding at least. I don't know.
It would be much easier to do your suggestion at that point. Take
Once
those-
you get
Take
your-
those payments and split them in half.
Split 'em in half and
add it to the.
Yeah, or some portion of, or put the
I mean,
debt all
after-
together.
after you
Depending
paid
on
it
how
down.
much, but depending on how much money you can save by paying them off
Right.
early too.
Right, if
It's
it's not,
cost you
if
more
it's
to-
not valuable,
You may save quite a lot by going that route.
or you might
Maybe that's
not.
something we ought to look into to see what can be paid, what could be paid off with some of that money,
It can all be paid off.
and see what you can get taken care of.
That's a great idea. I mean, we wanna invest, but we kinda have debt that we gotta
I think one of
get rid
the
of.
big things with this free money is that to get the water line down Main Street.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's a really a major.
All infrastructure is very important.
Yeah.
Alright, Joe, you got it on feedback?
Yes, that's,
More
more to come, I guess, right?
You asked for it.
I did.
Okay, anything else?
Moving right along.
Nemrick, do you wanna make a motion to appoint Joe as the administrator?
Sure. I'll make a motion to appoint the town manager as the administrator for the NIMRIC account, is that?
Accounting system.
Accounting system?
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Bob, to appoint the town manager as the administrator for the Nemrick accounting system. And that just gives you full access and authority with them.
Yeah, right now the accountant, she's the administrator, but she's getting ready to retire, so we don't wanna have a gap in coverage on that.
Okay, questions on the motion?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
The membership system, now, what is that, just, like a computer system, or?
It's the computer program we use, I think almost all towns in the state use to manage their finances. So the reports that you get every week, or come from Nemrick,
So they do the billing,
yeah.
The whole accounting
water
system.
billing.
Other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Motion carries. Parking lot? Any questions or updates on any item in there? We talked about meter changes.
As a result of our last meeting, when we met with the auditor, I'd like to add in that blank spot that we have in parking lot, municipal finance policy review.
Yep.
Because there were, I think, 2 or 3 items that came up, and we were gonna do it anyway. Maybe I liked the way you did last year of bringing a policy in, And we would just go and look at the policies we have. We have about 13 of them,
Yeah.
and see if they need updating, modifying, or if we're tweaking a little bit.
Sure.
Maybe that's a action item for you.
Yeah, yeah, and I'd actually add to that, that policy review to write a plan, an actual, lost the term, what's it?
Policy review plan?
No, an actual plan for what you do in the accounting office,
That's
Some kind of financial plan.
plan, why can't I think of the word?
Financial
Yeah,
plan,
SOP.
yeah.
SOP, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, I think that if it's written down, you can't, it's there. If there's any question, you can go and say, week one of the quarter, this has to be done, you know, whatever.
mhm.
And you're learning it right now, so it's a perfect time to put it to.
Yeah, honestly, it would have been great to have something like that stepping in,
Yes.
because it's all cyclical, so as long as you know what's coming, you can prep for it.
Right, and Jenny's got it in her head, but that's not gonna do us any good when she retires.
Okay, anything else to add or questions about any existing? Okay. Board roundtable? Anybody for roundtable?
Oh, yeah. I got a,
Yeah, go ahead.
also, yeah.
Yeah.
It may include the chief here. Right out here by the monument, where that yield sign, you go down around and you merge into traffic there. In the last week and a half, I've seen two so close near misses it wasn't funny. And I've studied it and I can't figure out what the real problem is, except that somebody from out of town is very confused there. The,
Seems right, it's a tough
Who's
intersection.
got right away?
what, yeah, well, there's a yield sign, but it's way over on the, by the fence. And that yield sign is way back, but so by the time you get down there near to where the traffic is, there's no more yield sign. I was wondering if maybe a white line and the yield markers in the road right there, like they have on the exits, would vastly improve that area.
I think it should be,
Conversation with the state, the state controls that, I believe, right?
I think you should have a stop sign on the other side. Like, right there by the library.
Yes.
That should be a stop sign.
Yeah.
You mean stop Route 4A?
I don't know if you can.
22.
Why not?
Main road?
Why
22
not?
would be the stop.
22
No, no.
would be the-
The stop,
22 to, you're talking about coming down this way, going south towards Europe, right?
correct.
Yeah.
No,
And the stop would be there?
no, just the opposite. The stop sign would be across from the library where the crosswalk is, right there.
Oh, going,
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
So you'd stop at the crosswalk. You wouldn't have to have it going east,
Just west.
just west. And so you'd have to, it'd be a real getting used to thing that would have to happen for the townspeople, but it makes you slow down for the school, it makes you slow down for that that crosswalk. And there's times when you can't see it, I don't know why, but it's pretty blind there. When,
going this way.
yeah, going south. You just don't see people there. And I don't know why that is, but
And it doesn't help with Dollar General dumping out on that side either.
Yeah,
You're looking
that-
for all of a
yeah.
sudden They're coming out here.
Yeah.
right there.
Would, so that'd have to be an ordinance change.
I just think some markings in the yield
it would help.
Yeah, you need to help.
very definitely
And
help.
along those lines, because when I started here in '98, you guys might have been on the board, there was no stop signs at all. I remember you come through and just went right through.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Were you guys part of changing it, or did the state
Yeah.
have to change it?
No,
Ray came in wanting to change that and to put a stop sign there. And the ordinance was changed and we did it.
Just
And
didn't
one
want
of
it being a state road. If that-
one of the things with, perfect example, that would be one of those things you'd wanna plant the seed with the state too, because up by Stewart's, we wanted a four-way stop there, and the Stewart's, or the state wouldn't let us because of the Y. And then one day, some state guy came down and said, you know, you ought to have a four-way stop here and just let the Y go through, and it was perfect, everything,
I'd like to get rid of
okay,
the
that's a
Y.
great idea.
While we're on that, so let's get rid of the Y, just make the intersection wider and turn,
Yeah,
so there's no off-ramp.
yeah, that's,
One of the
That's-
problems we got
would be
there,
good.
we got a drainage in the middle of that triangle.
yeah,
Or,
A
well,
manhole,
Drainage there,
yeah, well, then that makes it even better, you could just push,
you'd have to just lower everything, that's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
You know. But again, there,
I just think some simple painting there would make a vast
big
improvement.
yield, like what they say.
No, well, for instance, you're coming from New York State and you turn by the Welcome Center exit to come 4A
yeah.
into town. If you look, you'll see the yield diamonds right across right there. It's very, very, very.
I think they have down here
noticeable.
on, by Stewart's, they've got those right, as you're turning right there.
Or you
Yes, they do.
They're right
Another
there.
second yield sign on the other side.
Well, that would help that would also make a big deal, a good idea. But I studied it there one day, and I drove back and forth a couple times. And I can see where people from out of town, they just, and these people, and their blowers, horns are blowing and whatever. I mean, I can
Well, the problem is
understand.
That's a very big, busy intersection, so if you miss the yield with all the other traffic moving, it's very easy to go.
And that's what happened. Yeah, definitely. I think it just a gallon of paint would make a big difference there. I really do.
That's a good short term. I like what they did in West Rutland when they stopped how they brought the traffic down and stopped
Yeah.
the yield in, because it controlled everything from pulling out.
Okay. Joe put that on his notes to see what we can or cannot. do there.
talk to Evan Neary too.
He'd be a good resource, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what yeah, I'll start with District 3 and see what they say.
But
You guys want us to put down
gallon
paint?
paint is,
You want us to put down paint?
For a start.
for a start, and if
But
we
look
gotta do
at how
something.
long it'd take us to change the ordinance to get a stop sign there.
No, I think it would be definitely a good thing to do, because somebody's really,
Put the stop
really
sign
gonna
up.
get in trouble there.
All right, anything else, Rick? Jay?
All right. Had a call today about the trailer park. Is the water gonna be shut off at the trailer park on the 30th of June, or July?
We're gonna follow our process, and when the time comes, we'll shut the water off, and they'll have their chance to appeal to the Board of Selectmen, set up another payment plan, and if they can or can't, that's,
What happens if we do that? Do we have to notify all the people there, or is that up to the landowner?
so per our process, if it's a rental property, we have to notify the people in the park, which we've always done.
So that's something you'd notify like a month in advance or something, so they'd have time if they wanted to get together and pay a bill or something, or? I mean, we're not gonna spring it on July 30th.
No, it'll be the same process we've always used. We'll let them know, and they have several, I think we send out the pink slip, they have 30 days to pay it. After that, we send out a red slip, and even after that, they have another, depending on when
Yeah,
the
'cause, I mean,
meeting is, it
the only
could be
thing
2
that
weeks to a month.
they owe so much money.
Yeah.
Out there, you know,
Yeah, tens of thousands.
so anyway.
And that's how it worked last time when the tenants did come in.
No.
And we spent an hour or so, I think, talking with them, and it's just, they're not even paying enough rent to be able to cover the water fees.
Right.
It's,
The other thing that to be proactive, is we should get the state, we should talk to the state and see what kind of programs they have if we have to close that park. Because those people are displaced, they're automatically displaced, and it's a grim possibility that that's gonna be the final result. So let's at least broach the subject with the state and say, what kind of programs are there, what can we do, how can we, mitigate this as much for those people as possible. It's
Because-
not their fault.
Well, we can't, the
But-
town can't keep holding a $30,000 water
No.
bill.
No.
I
And,
mean,
and,
that goes back,
And
it's
that-
part of our budget, we have to have that money to operate.
Well, it would pay off a piece of this equipment possibly.
Yeah.
yeah, it's certainly
So-
one payment.
Anyways.
And the only reason we got payment last time was COVID money.
Yeah.
They
Right.
So-
paid the bills in full to the tune of $60,000.
I keep getting that number wrong, so I don't wanna say, I don't, something, it was a lot of
Substantial
money.
amount of money.
It was.
Yeah.
And-
It's
and I-
not gonna happen again.
So moving right along.
Yep.
All these big piles of snow that's still out there with all the dirt in them, they're never gonna melt the way they are. So why can't they come up with a bucket loader and pull in piles back over top of where all that ground's tore up? And as the snow melts, some of the dirt is gonna be back where it belongs. But it's never gonna melt with all the dirt in it. It's gonna take forever. And it's such an eyesore to see those things, especially in the middle of town. And if they can't just come up with a bucket loader and pull it back and do something, start cleaning up some of this mess. And then, let's see. We need to advertise for a zoning board of abatement member. We're short one.
The Board of Abatement?
Yep.
Or,
There's only 4 people on, there's supposed to be 5.
is that right?
I believe so.
Let me ask Phil.
Okay, well,
Need one more.
if that's something that has to be done, we should advertise for it. And the sidewalks about this dirt that was pushed up, I'm really discouraged in the way they've been doing it, because they've been, instead of picking it up and raking it back where it belongs, they've been just running over it with the bobcat and squashing the stuff down. So you still got the same problem with the, instead of bringing it back so people can mow the lawns, it's not taken care of. That's about it, I guess.
Jay, let me ask about that, because I have seen them with truckloads of grass.
I can take you right out here and show you right out here where you rent, and it's still a hump.
Sometimes there's yeah, okay. I'll make sure that they're scooping that stuff out, but I've seen truckloads of
No, a
stuff
rake,
come out.
if they take a rake with them and just rake it. I mean, you don't have to pick it up because it belongs where the pile is.
There's,
No, we're taking it.
But
We're taking it. Because next year, so what will happen is when that plow comes by next year, we're gonna make the dirt and then people are gonna scream at us, and then we'll be like, we need to do something about that dirt. So
So
we're
you're gonna
just-
leave a ridge like that on the people's lawns?
No, we're gonna
It's
take
gotta
the,
be tapered down.
yeah, we're gonna take the excess with
It's gotta
us.
be tapered down,
Yeah,
so it's mowable.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of sidewalks that haven't been addressed.
That's correct.
It's not getting the 1 or 2, it's
There's
All
quite a
the
few.
majority of them.
And
There's one place they won't, I mean, I raked all mine already, this week, but in walking around town,
Quite a few.
it's quite a few, it's a disaster all over the place, and the, riding on top and squashing it down, and you're leaving just about the same mess that was there. It's gonna require a rake and a shovel, and a little bit of work, or
Well, for the most part, the sidewalks is just another road system, only smaller. You still have to maintain the edges, drainage, and all that stuff. Along up through here on 22 Washington Street, you got that curb, and then you got a big mound of dirt. So that's all buildup from road salt, road sand, over the years of plowing. That needs to be cut off and reseeded. Grader, payloader, cut it right off. So what that's gonna do is, that's gonna eliminate that mess next year. You won't have so much to pick up. Each year it's gonna get better. But what's happened is over the years, it hasn't been maintained, so it's just built up. And now, when the plow goes along, it digs that buildup, the sod creates in there, and it just curls it up, and then you got a big mess.
That's it for me.
Awesome. Well,
talked about the playgrounds, did we get all those, boundaries and everything settled? Have we,
Playground?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all settled? Because there were people that were down there today that had no idea that the town owned the playground. And, or most of the playground.
Yeah, no, that's
Okay,
all.
so that's all set, okay, good. Maybe this is a parking lot thing too, but, we got a couple of downtown businesses that are getting ready to sell, as everyone knows. And one just sold, I didn't even know that. Is there some sort of program that we can access, a collaborative program that would cooperate with the downtown, the owner, the present owners, and real estate and the state, and just to get, to help them sell their property to the right people? Because, I mean, particularly the clothing store, we can't lose that. The Pizza House, you know, those are, and I just wonder if there are any kind of things, you know, and they may not wanna be part of it, but it would be nice if we could say, even if it was something we put on our website, we've got a couple of prime properties, whatever it is, we should try to help those people sell their property, but also make it, you know, the part of it that the town needs those businesses. They need to have those businesses.
Like a good welcoming committee.
Yeah, you know, but I mean, just so that, you know, I don't know if there's even such a thing in the state. If there is anything that does that, but there may be some monies that help people advertise a little farther out or something like that. I don't know. If that's something you could do a quick search and.
Sure.
I've been chasing a little bit, I haven't, obviously, I haven't found anything, that's why I'm asking. But it would be nice to, cause we need those properties, we don't need open, particularly dirt. But, I mean, and it would have been horrific if Fairhaven Auto went to, thank God that's sold properly. Anyways, okay, no, I talked about the ARPA money that is non-existent. Okay.
Anything, Glenn?
Nope, good.
Okay.
One of the town clerks was shaking her head yes when you asked that question about money. Can't remember who was sitting right here.
She was, yeah. So I
She was
don't know
like,
if there's.
you said, is there more money? And she's over here, yes. So
Really?
she might know something we don't.
Yeah.
I'm just watching body language.
What?
Not
I
sure
don't even
what town
remember
she
what
was
the
from.
question I was asking at the
Was
time.
there go-
Second round.
Second round ARPA money.
Oh, and she was saying
shaking
yeah.
her head yes, so I don't know
Oh.
if she knows something we don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know, it'd be nice to know.
Somebody should know something about it somewhere.
Yeah, I guess that's a leagues of cities and towns question.
Okay, expenditure revenue reports. Wait, sorry.
I can't read the numbers, but
Oh, that's right.
here's the numbers in the checkbook, if you can read my handwriting.
So is there a motion for the payroll warrant?
Sure, make a motion to pay the payroll warrant of $35,322.70.
Second.
Motion by Bob, second by Jay for the authorization of the payroll warrant, $35,322.70. Any questions on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
One abstention. General fund?
Make a motion to pay the revenue, or the, general fund, what's it called, warrant, of $85,309.04.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Bob, seconded by Jay for the general fund warrant, $85,309.04. Questions on that? I think there was one note in there?
Yeah, just one.
The note was for
There's a payment on the renovation project.
renovation
Yeah.
project.
Yes, yes.
37,000.
37,000, okay. Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Abstain?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries with one abstain from, Glenn.
And the checkbook status, there's $487,502.66 in there.
Okay.
Which seems like a lot.
And then we had, 2 executive sessions. One is for labor relations.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session under Labor Relations 1 VSA 313A1, and also to go in under Personnel Action 1 VSA 313A4.
Second.
Motion by Glenn, seconded by Jay. The second one is to not include the town manager. Is that,
I put that on there because I figured you guys have something to talk about tonight, so yeah, I would imagine.
okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We'll take a minute